You wonder what happened in sports today. Brandon Petrilli, he got the wave. We talking a lot with bros today. Cracking some jokes the podcast way. Goals on goals, with homers on homers. Tutties on tutties, got moments on moments. Just tune into BSP. Just tune into BSP. Just tune into BSP. Just tune into Petrilli.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the BSP podcast on BSP Media YouTube. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe. We're here. We're breaking down week one, Eagles victory over the Green Bay Packers, baby. It was intense. It was a lot. It was very suspenseful. It was highly built up and anticipated. And the Philadelphia Eagles catch a big-time victory over an up-and-coming Green Bay Packers team that a lot of people had to pick competing for this NFC title this year. So it was a good week one win. It could have went either way. I was kind of nervous about it. If you were checking us out at Cold One Conversations, make sure you go subscribe over there too for a little bit more of around the full NFL talk with me and my boy Harry Heaps. But yeah, man, big win. Very excited for this season and this offense. And honestly, this defense gives me a lot of hope. I was saying it over on Cold Ones last week before all the week one games. I was excited about this defense for this football team. There's a lot of upside up and down, whether you saw it with Quinyon Mitchell. I mean, even Cooper DeJean a little bit. Yeah, Reed Blankenship coming up and getting a big interception for you. The defense of line, there's still a lot to be determined there. I'm not panicked too much on them yet. We'll get to them in a little bit. But Zach Bond, Nakobe Dean stepping up huge with Devin White not traveling with the team. You saw Darius Slay only get targeted one time, and they were going after Quinyon, and he was able to hold his own. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson missed a couple tackles. There was some big plays to be had off that defense, but they set the tone to start this game. The offense and Jalen Hurts handed the Green Bay Packers the ball within their own 50-yard line on their side of the field twice to start the game. It was brutal. It was such a rough start, but this defense to only allow 9 points to start that game set everything up and let this offense get comfortable and get their feet under them throughout this game. And that is the reason why they won this game. We know that this team last year with the defensive coordinators and the talent that they had, that if that happened, this game would have been 21-0 off the rip. And it would have been like, wow, all right, maybe we're not going to be any better. Nick Sirianni needs to be out of here. Jalen Hurts isn't the guy. But this team was able to bounce back. They were able to make adjustments. They were able to make big stops and bend and don't break and only allow 9 points and give this offense a chance to finally hand the ball off to Saquon Barkley, finally hit Dallas Goedert and A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith over the middle of the field. Over the middle of the field, not all these out routes and everything else that they were doing last year, hitting them for slants, using each other 1-2 punch across the middle to get each other open. And this offense really started to get going once Jalen Hurts started to realize to get the ball to his playmakers. You could see the confidence that these guys have, that Schmitty has, that AJ has, that Saquon has, that Dallas has. These guys are so confident in themselves, and they know they're talking about a post game. Get the ball to this guy. Get the ball to this guy. It's not me. They know, hey, I got another great guy next to me. We can all work together. We're going to put up a lot of points. The swagger and the confidence for these offensive playmakers is off the charts after week one. And being as terrible and playing as terrible as Jalen Hurts kind of did at times, they were still able to put up 34 points on a good Green Bay Packers team. Not a great defense for the Green Bay Packers, but a good, solid team that could have been stingy, that this team for the Eagles we saw roll over and die last year. They could have rolled over and died after that slow, ugly start, but they were able to come back, clean things up, and dominate on the offense side of the football. I mean, this offense has such a high potential throughout the year now. All you need for it to fully click now is Jalen Hurts to get that confidence. We talked about how the playmakers are all confident in themselves. Jalen Hurts just needs to get that confidence in himself. He doesn't have to realize, or he has to realize it doesn't have to be me doing the plays. He has to be confident in himself getting the ball to AJ, to Smitty, to Dallas, to Saquon, because these guys can go and take over. He was kind of getting in a mode where he had to force a couple throws and try to make the big plays. He's just got to be a point guard. He just has to go hike 1-2, bang, get it to him. Hike 1-2, look, get rid of it. He doesn't always need to just force these throws that we saw to start the game. And if he can start to get that confidence in himself again, that energy, that sly smirk that he gets, on the sideline where he's not kind of hanging his head, but his chest is up and he's like, if you're watching on YouTube, that slight little smirk he gets, the confidence, because that is going to what takes this team to the next level. Because we saw how he was able to struggle and they still put up 34 points. This team, if he can just get within the offense that Kellen Moore has laid out for them to scheme up to almost to perfection, except for those first couple drives and one late, to be able to totally change the offensive dynamic of this team from last year to this year. He just needs to build it and trust it in himself, in his teammates, and in the scheme. And this team is going to put up points left and right. But it is something that's absolutely awesome to see. Now, some other stuff to go over. Saquon, man. Thank you, New York. We love you, New York, New York. I'm cutting that. Thank you, New York. You guys helped us out so much, man. Giving Danny Dimes the money. Give him more money. Hey, Dallas, give Dak more money, too, while you're at it. But letting Saquon Barkley walk out of that building and letting those clips out where your owner is saying he's not going to be able to sleep at night if Saquon goes to the Eagles, and he puts up more touchdowns and points than your team did offensively week one. It's just beautiful. It's poetry in motion. And I just want to thank all of you New Yorkers out there. And it's funny texting with some of my friends, Kieran and RL, and how they quit. They're done. They weren't even expecting anything. And watching that happen with the Eagles, and then on Sunday with the Giants, it's a wrap there. And it's I don't feel bad at all. Thank you. But it's going to be exciting. Now, my one thing with Saquon Barkley, right? Everybody, I'm sitting at the Fanatic answering calls and listening to everybody calling in, and it's, oh, you're paying Saquon the big money. We love it. Give him more. Feed him. Give him the touches. 24 carries is a good, solid workload. They were feeding him the rock, which you should be doing, right? You might have to scale it back just a tad bit. Just a tad. He doesn't need the 3 touchdowns. He doesn't need all these extra carries every once in a while, where you need him for the longevity of the season. You need him to be fresh at the end of the season. And you got to kind of play it out through the long haul here, because I am so excited, and we love to see that instant impact that you get and that gratification of bringing a guy in and he absolutely makes an impact. Absolutely love it. Just we need to dial him back maybe 6 carries or so. If you can keep him just below 20 carries, I'll be feeling really good. You can still hit him out of the backfield, like that beautiful pass that Jalen Hurts put him on the dime in the corner of the end zone for the first touchdown of the game. You keep getting him involved that way, but if we could dial it back just slightly, I'm okay with Kenny G getting some touches. I'm okay with Will Shipley getting some touches, as long as Saquon stays healthy and explosive throughout the rest of the season. I hope that makes sense. I love the bell cow back, the dominant running back. You're paying him, yes, but we need him to be healthy throughout the whole season. And we can't let these scumbag Giants fans be right where it's like, oh yeah, he had a great game. Wait until he gets hurt. Screw that. If that's your thought process, you're a scumbag. So we can't let that happen. Keep Saquon at a very good, manageable 17 to 22 carries a game. Let him get his and let this offense dominate, because you have so many other weapons. Jalen's got to get used to this read option a little bit, where he's been kind of second guessing himself. But if he can just quickly get these balls out to Smitty and Dallas and AJ, it's going to be great. It's almost like an extended run is what they always love to say. So maybe a little bit more of that. Jalen makes a little bit better reads coming to that, where it cuts down some of Saquon. But I love what I saw out of him. Just got to dial it back just slightly. I just want it to be, I want him to be good for the whole season. So that's where we're at with that. Yeah, the O-line, a lot of things that were coming down to it, right? Because Saquon Barkley was able to dominate so much, is because of this offensive line. Everybody thought, oh, Jason Kelce, you lose a Hall of Famer, they're going to take a big step back. This O-line was opening holes left and right. Lane Johnson still yet to give up a sack. Jordan Mailata played solid. You saw Mekhi Becton able to step in at guard for you. And if he could be, he's only 25 years old. If he could step in there and you get him a new contract at the end of the season, if he keeps playing at a high level, that's an absolute steal by Howie Roseman. Jurgens has to get used to him and Jalen. I think that's a kind of between the two of them to figure it out. They got to play together. They should have played together in the offseason more in preseason, but it is what it is at this point. That's just going to take some time to get used to. I mean, and then Landon Dickerson's just an absolute beast. When Saquon Barkley doesn't get touched 5 yards down the field, that's why he's so successful. He was getting hit negative yards for the New York Giants the last couple years behind the line of scrimmage. When Saquon doesn't get touched for 3, 4, 5 yards downfield, good luck getting them. And that's what this offensive line did for him. And it's a great thing to see them not take that step back. They were able to pick up blitzes. You saw Jalen have one of the highest pass ratings against the blitz this week 1 in the NFL again, versus all other quarterbacks. So that was great to see. A lot of questions answered there on the offensive side of the football, and it's great to see. And hopefully they just keep on elevating this game as Jalen Hurts and everybody else keeps growing in this offense and getting more and more comfortable. And man, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. But yeah, and then it kind of brings you to the flip side of it, where we kind of started the conversation where the defense set the tone and they were able to make plays at the right time. They were giving up big chunk plays too. I mean, 29 points, but that's a good team over there with Jordan Love in that offense. You got to shore up a couple tackles out in the open field. Jordan Davis has got to show up. Sweat and Bryce Huff. Oh my God, they got to show up. You need Nolan Smith to get more than just pressures. You got to get home. When Brandon Graham is playing an extended amount of snaps at this point in his career, that's not good. We need these young guys to start to develop and get into this, I don't want to say dominant form, just okay. Get me 1, 2 sacks. When Zach Bond is your leading sacks with 2 in the game, I love it because you're bringing them more on blitzes that we haven't seen in the past, but you need these guys to win their one-on-ones. That's what we're expecting them to do. That's why you moved off of guys like Hassan Reddick and Fletcher retires and you don't bring anybody else in, right? You bring in Bryce Huff with the big contract, expecting him to get the job done there. So I'm not taking too much away from the pass rush just because you saw how sloppy that field was. I mean, you saw the 1 interception for Jalen, right? Throwing across his body a little bit. He probably still shouldn't have thrown that, but AJ was open, telling him, give me the ball in the back of the end zone, throws it across his body a bit. He slips, falls, interception is what it is. And then you saw it on defense the whole time where CJ Gardner-Johnson coming across the field, wipes out trying to take out Jalen Reed. He should have probably not as been aggressive knowing the field conditions there. But at the same time, you just see guys trying to pin their foot down and get around the corner and just wipe out left and right. It's funny how that happens to the Eagles. We keep having to run into these situations. Oh, but the field is just like Lambeau, this and that. Obviously, it isn't, because the Green Bay Packers were struggling with it too, and they were also had their issues with that turf, right? Thankfully, Jordan Love is okay, and he'll be back in 3-4 weeks, whatever it is with the MCL. But you saw the issues for both sides of the field. I'm not even going to get into the Brazil talk. It is what it is. Eagles get out of there with a big time dub, and we're moving on to Monday Night Football against the Atlanta Falcons. All right, because if you were listening to Cold One Conversations, make sure you go subscribe there. The link's in the bio with me and Harry talking about all the different teams in the NFL, right? Giving our predictions for the divisions. I love the Eagles in this NFC East, right? Everybody's hyping up this Atlanta Falcons team, and I just don't see it. I didn't see it at all. And it came to fruition week 1, where Kirk Cousins looks like he's a 30-something-year-old quarterback coming off an Achilles injury. He's not able to move around. The defensive line, a really good defensive line for the Pittsburgh Steelers, was able to get to him and just hold them in check the whole game. That's where you're going to need, and we're going to have the test here for the Eagles defensive line. If the Eagles D-line can get after Kirk Cousins, it doesn't have to be as dominant like a TJ Watt was, because obviously he's on another level. But if you can keep pressuring him, he's going to make mistakes. They're going to struggle. They're going to give you the football. And that's all you need. this is the time for this defensive line to really step up and start to make plays. Because if you sit back and you let Kirk Cousins pick you apart like he has in the past when he was old Kirk Cousins before the Achilles injury, then we're not going to be too happy. But I think this defense and these linebackers and corners, and you're going to get some guys back healthy here, hopefully throughout the week. We'll see with Devin White and Isaiah Rodgers to give you more of that depth there that you didn't have. The potential is there to have a very, very solid defense. I'm not asking for top 10. I'm not asking for top 5. I'm asking for top 15, top 16 defense. Make it manageable because I trust this offense to put up 25, 30 points a game. If they can hold teams to 21 points, I am happy with it. You limit the explosive plays, you stop the run a little bit. You bend, you don't break, you give up those field goals, fine. Because I know this offense will figure it out and they can put up points with the best of them. And that's kind of where I'm at. This Eagles team should come out and beat down. You saw Justin Fields be able to move the football on these guys a little bit. They struggled when it came to the red zone against this Falcons defense, which might be a little bit of an issue that we've seen in the past with the Eagles. But with the motion and the schemes that Kellen Moore has brought to this offense, I would love to see them come out there and just absolutely dominate red zone possessions and just take over this football game Monday night. Everybody makes a joke 3 years in a row against Kirk Cousins Monday Night Football opening. Well, not the original home opener, but the first actual game at the link, right? It's going to be rocking. We'll be down there. Jason Kelsey will be there for ESPN, right? May stop by C6 if you're down there. It's going to be interesting. Hit me up. Maybe we can figure something out. It's going to be fun, but it's going to be a heck of a night. I love this Eagles team to absolutely beat down the Falcons come Monday night. It's going to be, hopefully you get some depth back on that defense. Jalen gets a little bit more confidence in this offense, in these players that he has around him, and just be the point guard to get them the ball. And they're going to put up 30-plus points every single week. That's going to do it for today for BSP Media. I'm Brennan Petrilli. Shout out to 215. Go Birds, baby. Like, follow, subscribe. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter. It's all in the bio at Brennan Petrilli. We're going to be doing more cornhole videos too. I would love if you watched throughout the video. I've been following the cornhole journey. We're almost at day 100. Day 100 is going to be coming Saturday, so it's going to be a lot of fun. But yep, thanks everybody so much. Click the subscribe button. Go Birds, baby.